There goes that man's jockstrap.
Oh my God, did you see that? America's team? Yeah, right.
Oh, baby, it's a big day in sports. There's nothing like battling it out with your teammates all season long to go win a championship. Green Bay's got it this year. Huge move for them. I think it's going to be a game changer.
We have a lot to talk about this busy week in the sports world. Welcome to the In a League of Their Own podcast.
In a League of Their Own podcast is brought to you by Golf Kicks. Ever get the itch to go and golf, not wanting to wear those uncomfortable, tacky golf shoes? Well, now you don't have to worry. Golf Kicks customizes any type of shoe, from sandal to Jordan, with the grooves you need to get your groove out on the course. Screw your shoes. Use code OWN20 for 20% off at checkout.
Happy Whoops Wednesday. How's it going?
Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday.
Yeah, excited for this week. Again, it's championship week for college football world. We'll be kind of putting a wrap on the whole bowl season at the end of the episode as well, with how the coin did. Again, for the coin flip we've been doing throughout the whole bowl season. Before we get to that, though, again, huge welcome to everybody listening and watching on YouTube. Make sure you guys are subscribing, liking, commenting on our videos if you're enjoying the content. For our audio listeners over on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, welcome to you as well. And the 5-star ratings over there help us move up the charts as well. For all of our other content outside of our episodes, I'm going to take a drink of water. Apparently my throat's cracking up. For all of our content outside of our episodes every week, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, you can find all that over there. Any breaking news, scores updates on our favorite teams. And then every Wednesday, we have Whoops Wednesday, posting sports memes, videos, just any kind of funny sports content around the world. We post anywhere from like 5 to 10 clips over there every day, or every week, I should say. So go check those out. And lastly, again, we're running a raffle here through the holiday season for a mystery box of your choice between the NFL, NHL, and MLB, valued up to $70. If you're interested in getting in on that, feel free to DM us on any of our socials or email us at inaleagueoftheirownpodcast@gmail.com. The entry fee is $10 for your first entry, up to 3 entries for $20 or for $30, $20. As I'm reading it, I'm changing the script apparently. Again, the raffle's open, and once we get to about that 10 entry mark, we're going to close that and then order it and open it up on stream and then package it back up and send it to our winner. So again, if you're interested, feel free to reach out to us. Jumping into our content here for the day, starting off with the NFL. Kind of some week 18 scenarios that can happen of teams clinching a playoff spot or clinching a seed. Right now, the Ravens have the slimmest chance of a team on the outside looking in. They would have to win. Colts lose to the Jags. Miami loses to the Pats. Chargers lose to the Raiders. That would then move the Ravens into that 7th spot. Any shot that this scenario plays out, or is this kind of a lost cause for the Ravens?
I don't think this is a lost cause at all. Just looking back, the Colts matchup with the Jags. Colts are 1-6 in their last 7 games against Jacksonville, so that hasn't been trending very good as of late. The last time they beat them was when Andrew Luck was the quarterback, so that was a long time ago. Miami Patriots looking to keep rolling, and that's easily doable there. The Raiders, they just ended up beating who did they beat this last weekend? Then the Colts, who needed a win. They ended up beating them. They're easily capable of upsetting the Chargers and Baltimore. Their faith in their own hands. I totally think this is doable. Just a question, I guess I have, once you rebut here, we can get to, but yeah, that's just what I think.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't know what the percentage is. I'm sure it's less than 5% or 1%, whatever it is, of this happening, just because there's 4 things that need to happen for them to get in. Yeah, like you said, the one game I was like, okay, this isn't going to happen. But then looking at, again, the statistics, like you said, the Colts have not fared well against Jacksonville, and they're actually 0-5 in their last 5 games in Jacksonville. So again, whatever is going on down there, I mean, I would say over the past handful of years, the Colts have been consistently a better team than Jacksonville overall, aside from the Jags one run, what was it, 5-6 years ago into the AFC Championship, but their team looked way different back then. But yeah, and then all these other games again. If Miami still had a playoff shot, like I feel like that, like Miami still can beat the Patriots no matter what, just because of the team they have. But because Miami no longer has a shot, they're now eliminated. I feel like that the intensity that Miami's going to come out with is going to be down half a notch or a notch, just with them not having anything to play for. But again, they could be wanting to play spoiler to the Patriots as well. So, I mean, this is the craziest scenario of a team getting in. The other one on the outside looking in is the Saints, where they need to win and the 49ers need to lose and they would get in. So that's the other scenario of a team on the outside looking in trying to get in, which is again possible because the 49ers play the Rams. So, I guess we'll see this weekend. But yeah, although this sounds like a long shot, I think it's very possible. But obviously, it all starts with the Ravens getting a win, and they play Pittsburgh, which again they need to win to get in. So both teams having a lot to play for in that game.
Yeah, I also saw how the Chargers and the Raiders could literally tie on purpose, and both of them would get in following a Colts loss. So that could be something else that we could see as well. Guys not wanting to hurt each other and whatever the last week and both making it. That's also a possibility.
But at the same, like if one wins, they get in, the other doesn't, and that it's a division rival game. I feel like in any case, you don't want your division rival to make the playoffs with you. But plus, I feel like that's hard to not make it so obvious where, oh, we're gonna let our foot off the gas. You're gonna catch up. All right, we're both gonna go 3 and outs the rest of the game, so we don't break the tie. Yeah, I mean, yeah, like you said, it's an interesting scenario where if they tie, both would get in. But
I'd rather play one of those teams instead of the Colts.
Yeah, but at the same time, like if it was like the Packers and Bears or Packers and Vikings playing this weekend, it's like, oh, if both tie, they get in. No, neither team wants to let the other one in. But again, like you said, I wouldn't want to play the Colts either. So maybe because how would that work? Would they play each other again?
No, because the Chargers would have the 6 and the Raiders would have the 7, or vice versa. So they would be heading on the road to at Chiefs, at Bengals. Both of those teams would have to play, which I'm sure the Chiefs and the Bengals would rather play the Chargers or the Raiders rather than the Colts too.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I definitely have never seen a purposeful tie in my years of watching football.
Yeah,
especially
so it's like they could end this with 12 knees apiece. Just get this game right over real quick. No whistles, nothing.
Yeah, that'd be funny.
Well, yeah, then sticking with the Ravens here, do we see Baltimore, I guess, reload their guns and sign Lamar to a long contract extension? Or do you see them potentially moving on to Brett Hundley?
Tyler Huntley,
excuse me.
I mean, for the first one, Lamar, I think that they do sign him because I think he's on the same contract as like Baker Mayfield, some of these other guys where they have 1 year left on their contract because they're still on their.
Lamar's the only major quarterback who didn't get a contract extension done along because Baker's got 1 year left. He's got 2 years left technically on his last deal that he signed.
Lamar does.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I mean, like the obvious answer is they stick with him, but at the same time, like you guys wonder how much his health is going to be in question to where, kind of looking at Baker Mayfield, how much his play affected the Browns' chances of making the playoffs this year with that hurt shoulder. Yeah, you want your best players on the field, but also your best player in the field with a hurt shoulder, or in Lamar's case, a hurt ankle, is not going to be playing at the level that Hundley would be fully healthy, or another quarterback if you bring somebody else in. I mean, this is really Lamar's first year where he's dealt with an injury, at least that we've seen like with our own eyes, that is costing him games. It makes sense if they roll with him, but I could see, I mean, a year or two down the road, if he keeps getting hurt, he keeps having 3-4 interception games, like he maybe just had a crazy year or two where he had his MVP season running all over the field and was a decent passer. And now that teams are realizing, okay, this guy doesn't have a good arm, let's force him to throw the ball more. That's where he's making a lot of mistakes. I mean, the NFL is a win now league. If Lamar Jackson continues if he has the exact same season he did this year, next year, this exact conversation we're having in January of 2023, I could see them moving on from him.
Yeah, I think that they hold their trigger of signing him long term. I could see them potentially franchise tagging him if that's still a thing here by the next CBA and all that stuff. Obviously, none of that changes, because I know that's the one thing a lot of players don't like is the franchise tag, just because more times than not, you're betting on yourself to outperform all these different things that they're expecting. So like I said, I could see them doing a franchise tag 1 year cheap once his deal runs out, and sink or swim here. You either get us back and you do what you were doing before. Any signs of struggle, Huntley's our guy. Like, I feel like they're gonna have to read down on his contract as well, and maybe give him a little bit more money as he showed his value, what he brings to that team. The only reason they're in that position is because Huntley.
Mm-hmm. But also they're on a 5-game losing streak, so Huntley has yet to win him a football game. So is Huntley the guy you want to roll with too? Like, do you clean house your
Well, they just
quarterback
won
room?
this last weekend against the Colts.
The Ravens? They did not play the Colts. They lost to the Rams. They're on a 5-game losing streak right now.
Mm-hmm.
You were just saying before the Raiders played the Colts, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, Ravens are on a 5-game shitter. They were before when they were on their win streak, they were number one in the AFC. So they've gone from number one in the AFC, 5-game losing streak, and now still on the outside looking in. So obviously, if Lamar's in there, maybe we see have a different case. But again, they also, because they lost two of those 5 games with Lamar, so he started the shit streak. Huntley steps in, he doesn't get them back on track.
Well, stats-wise, he's doing better than Mahomes.
Who is?
Or not Mahomes, excuse me. Lamar. Huntley's stats.
Oh,
Better
yeah.
completion percentage.
He's a better thrower.
His running stats are actually better as well. He's got like a third of the carries, and he has almost over a third of the yards. I don't know. I feel like this would be a decision that we could see being made that wouldn't shock me.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds very out there, but again, NFL's a win now league. If the guy you have leading your team is not getting it done, like that, like even for the Chiefs, for instance, they just signed him to a $500 million contract. If he has 3 straight years and they miss the playoffs for 3 years, they can move on from him. Nothing's guaranteed in this league. Just because you get a paycheck and you're here for 8 to 10 years. Like, if you can't win football games, you're gone. So, and honestly, both of them are like, I mean, respect to the guy again, kind of being a dual guy, but I've never been on the Lamar train. Like, I think like his MVP season was kind of a one and done thing, to where he caught the league off guard with, oh shit, this guy runs a lot, and he was a run first, pass second kind of guy. And now that teams are like, okay, let's get contained. Let's have a spy on him. Now, okay, shit, he's in the pocket, missed throws, interceptions. I honestly don't think he's as good as like a lot of people say. I mean, again, he's a quarterback in the NFL, so obviously leaps and bounds better than myself or a lot of other athletes out there. But I don't know. Like I said, I've just never been on the Lamar train from the get-go. And kind of sticking with the AFC North here, circling back to Baker Mayfield. He will not be playing in Week 18. Kevin Stefanski came out and said with that torn labrum in his shoulder, they're going to try to get a jump start on him getting the surgery done, rehabbing, so that he can be back for OTAs for next season. And we've talked about this before, but what chances do you see that he could be done as a Brown? And again, he has 1 year left on his contract for a cheap $19 million, which again is 1.5 times less than the top 5 to 8 quarterbacks in the league. So do they move on and, okay, we want to get back to winning again? Or do they say, all right, we got this guy for cheap for 1 more year. Let's see what happens.
I don't know. I kind of feel like just the course of the last couple of games, I feel like Stefanski's himself has been exposing Baker Mayfield. Look at the play calling. He's been getting a lot of boot action to his left side, which that is a bad arm. And it's like he's setting him up to be like, you're asking me to fucking win with this guy? Like, look at what I'm calling and look at what he's doing. Like, I feel like nobody really wants Baker there, I feel like. And I don't know. It couldn't get any more obvious for me just watching the way that the last game went, how they treated him, now how they made all these excuses for him. Oh, he's hurt, all this type of shit. And it's just like, well, he's still throwing 2 picks. He's still throwing it 40 times a game. Why is he still doing that if he's that hurt?
Mm-hmm.
It's just like I feel like everybody tries to save him and hold on and put him in that other category because he was a number 1 pick, but he was a bust and he's not that great of a quarterback. And I see them moving on from him. I could just see him eating the cap, finding somebody else.
Yeah, and like you said, they keep riding his arm, passing the ball a lot more than they should. And honestly, I think that they should run a very similar offense that the Titans do, kind of a 70-30, 80-20 towards the run. Because the Cleveland backfield, arguably top 5 backfield, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, D'Ernest Johnson. Again, a very small sample size from D'Ernest Johnson, but he balled out in that Thursday night game that he was in there. Kareem Hunt, again, from his time on the Chiefs, did really well, and even spurts in Cleveland. And then obviously Nick Chubb, again, arguably a top 5 running back. But all 3 of those guys combined together, one of the best backfields in football. And yet you're riding with Baker Mayfield, who has the most interceptions out of any quarterback since he's come into the league. I think that they need to switch that offensive strategy to run first, pass second, where, like you mentioned, they have him running a lot of bootlegs. That's where you see Baker Mayfield kind of thrive more, is in the play action on those one route concepts where you have a tight end on the backside, slot, or wider on the backside coming across the field. You get one read. It's either there and you hit it, or you run, or you check it down, which just makes it easier for him instead of 4 or 5 guys running routes. And like, they don't have the best offensive line in the league either, to where he can stand back there all day. So, yeah, I don't know. I think it makes sense if they stick with him, just because, again, with him not playing Week 18, let's get a jump start on him for next season. It sounds like they're kind of putting all the chips on the table with him for the meantime. But again, next year, if they want to get back to what they did 2 years ago with their first playoff berth and decades, they need to get back to the run. But also, again, in a lot of these games, whether you're down, usually if you're down 1, 2, 3 possessions, it equals, okay, we need to pass the ball to catch up. That's a tough spot to be in too, to where you can't just keep running the ball, eating the clock when you need to catch back up. So, Cleveland's in a tough spot after 1 year of, they're back, to, okay, maybe not. We'll see what they do next year.
Well, and everybody's so high off there. Oh my God, the Browns are the best team in the North. Oh my God, the Browns are going to look at where they sit out of the playoffs, dead last in the North.
Mm-hmm.
And who's the fault of that? Baker Mayfield. take away his interceptions against the Packers, take away his interceptions last weekend, Browns win. And I don't know. I just feel like that team, for how young they are and the talent that they do have, they're not going to waste everybody's career here by keeping Baker Mayfield around. And I don't know. It makes zero sense to me to re-sign him at all. Just due with how many quarterbacks are going to be on the open market.
Mm-hmm. And again, like you said, you don't want to waste all these guys' careers. Nick Chubb, again, running backs have one of the shortest shelf lives, if not the shortest, in the NFL.
And how long are you going to have that great defense?
Mm-hmm. To where guys come to the end of their contracts, they're balling out, they want more money, they go elsewhere. Like, you only have a 2 to 3 year window of, okay, we got this team together, like the Packers right now. Again, every year is kind of Super Bowl or bust in Green Bay, but they're kind of in that last year of that window of they only have like $3 million in cap space going into next year. They need to re-sign Rodgers, Adams. A lot of the guys on their defense are playing really well. Some of them they need to re-sign. Like, they're at the end of that window where I could see next year kind of being the end of that window for Cleveland if they can't get it together.
And then my last question for you, over to the NFC. If the Rams don't make a decent run in the playoffs, do you think the moves for Matt Stafford, giving up all that draft capital, Von Miller and OBJ, come to bite this team in the ass down the road here, since they don't have a first-round pick this year?
Yeah, I mean, they went up.
Excuse me, they don't even have a pick until the 5th round.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, they're kind of in a similar spot that Seattle was, going after Jamal Adams, keeping Russell, getting DK Metcalf in the draft. Like, taking a lot of these guys higher up that you're expecting a lot out of, you're forfeiting draft picks and kind of your second, third, fourth string guys where your depth is. The Rams are kind of in that similar situation too, to where they need, because they signed OBJ, was that to the rest of the season, right? So they got to re-sign him next year. And then
Von Miller, they basically got him for nothing, and the Broncos are paying his salary.
Mm-hmm.
And then Stafford, the first-round picks.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, anytime you go after those kind of guys and you don't make a playoff or a deep playoff run or a Super Bowl out of it, you're obviously coming up short. I think that they're kind of starting to come around. Von Miller's making a difference. He had a huge sack on Sunday to salt the game away against the Ravens. OBJ has now had a touchdown basically in every game since he's become a Ram, with the exception of his first game because he just got signed to the team 2 days prior. But then Matthew Stafford, again, so many pick sixes this year. He had another pick six this past weekend, multi-interception games. I mean, all these guys have their ups and downs. It's a matter of getting all their ups to peak at the right time. If you get a peak OBJ, Von Miller, Matthew Stafford, the Rams could be the team to beat in the playoffs this year. But again, the inconsistency, not really having a run game.
They are getting Akers back.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's tough to. It is in such a short time for OBJ and Von Miller, and then we're kind of getting a sample size of Stafford over the year. But again, I feel like to get one full year, one full training camp, get all these guys together, next year would kind of be the determining factor of, did this pay off or are these guys a bust?
So I guess, do you think this is going to be detrimental down the road for this team?
I mean, I think so, because these guys are all older in their careers. They could, you're not getting a lot of shelf life to where, again, not having draft picks, not having depth is a 3 to 5 year kind of hit to your team to try to catch up and get those guys back. I don't see, 3 years from now, I don't think Matthew Stafford, OBJ, and Von Miller are going to be on the Rams. So I guess, yeah, I could see it being detrimental to where if they don't get a Super Bowl in the next 3 years out of those guys, then they're setting themselves back way farther. Again, kind of like Seattle going all in on keeping the guys and going that they have and going getting Jamal Adams. They haven't got a Super Bowl out of it. Look at it now, bottom of the NFC West this year because they don't have the depth where they've had injuries happen, where they've had things play out. They're one of the bottom teams of the league this year now. But yeah, I don't think it's going to work out for them.
Yeah, I think that what they did was very ballsy in their move, and I think they kind of set the new precedent for how the NFL can work. Instead of gambling on a pick and not knowing what this guy's potential is for 5 years, and you know what a Von Miller is, you know what an OBJ, you know what a Matt Stafford is, like right now. You don't have to wait.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as giving up their draft picks and all that stuff, I feel like this really doesn't hurt that team as long as they can keep re-upping with not going with their draft picks. But like you said, at some point, it is going to get around to that point where you're not going to have some depth in some positions that you would have had. However, will you need it? Like, that's another thing. If your guys stay healthy and continue to play, you're not going to need that depth that you would normally need on like a rebuild. So I feel like it would be a huge disappointment, obviously, for LA going to get all these guys. But I feel like this also was like an experiment to see if, hey, can we do this? Would this be sustainable to do this every year? And I feel we see this team continue to reload year after year.
Yeah, and I mean, it helps playing brand new stadium, Los Angeles, California. Like,
Well, and you're saving a lot of money too, because you can put them all on incentive-based contracts where you don't have
yeah,
to pay up unless they perform,
mm-hmm.
which
They
is
can
what
kind of turn
Tampa
it.
did. That's how they got everybody on their team. It's all incentive-based.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. Where I could see the Rams kind of turning into an LA or a Bucks team to where older guys, top of the top. Okay, you got 1 to maybe 3 years left in your prime. Let's put all these guys together and see what happens. I mean, again, they're the top of the NFC West this year, looking like they're going to possibly make a deep playoff run. We'll kind of see how it works out for them. But yeah, again, if this year they don't get a Super Bowl or next year, I think that it's a loss for this team going out and getting these guys, and again, making the next couple of years kind of hinder because of it in the draft stock.
And one quick little stat here for you. Did you know that Green Bay was the only team to go undefeated at home this whole season?
Oh yeah, that's right. There's somebody else. Who was it? Somebody else was up until a week or two ago, but then they lost.
Tampa, when they got smacked by New Orleans at home.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I mean, again, that just makes the 1 seed that much more important. You go undefeated at home. Now everybody has to come to Lambeau. And you're going to be playing teams potentially that you played already. Cardinals, Rams that you beat already. Yeah, it's, again, looking like a good year, but again, for us as Packers fans, we know not to get our hopes up too much just because of the history. But yeah, we'll move over to the NBA here then. Yesterday, Russell Westbrook had a turnoverless game for the first time in 408 games. This is the longest streak of having turnovers in a game in active league history. LeBron rolls for another 31 points. They get a win over the Kings and move back above 500. I guess no doubt they're playing better basketball, but in the current form that they are they good enough to make it out of the first round of the playoffs and kind of make some noise in the West?
Yeah, if they continue not to turn the ball over, they're going to put themselves in a position to win, especially LeBron James that we were seeing basically ever since all the criticism basically started pouring down on Russ. They let Rondo move on. It seems like ever since both of those moves, this team has been a force rolling downhill. AD getting closer to coming back. I could see this team, as long as you get into the dance, you got a shot. And with a team that has a lot of vets, more poised to go deeper because they know what it takes to get there. Yeah, I could definitely see them making it past, I could see them making it past the first round, maybe even the second. But if they end up meeting one of those juggernaut teams, the Suns, Warriors, or Utah, that's going to be a tough out.
Mm-hmm. And the thing too last night is I think they had only 5 team turnovers, which is the least amount in three years since 2019. So again, and that's been their Achilles heel all year. 12 to 20 turnovers a game, averaging almost 16 per game over the season. Again, it wasn't a huge win. I think they won by 8 last night, so it wasn't a dominating win to where they barely turned the ball over, so they won by a million. It was still like close enough, but again, they're missing AD. Russell Westbrook isn't playing at his peak. It's
And
really
LeBron took over at the end.
yeah, that's true.
And another thing with that Russell Westbrook stat, that's going back to 2016 or whatever. That's on their 405 games. That's with playing over 30 minutes a game. That stat is with included that. If you go back, if you don't take the minutes played, you have to go back to 2013 to the last time that he had 0 turnovers when he was only averaging 28 minutes a game. So, yeah, just wanted to throw that out there because that's another 3 years you'd have to go back. Almost 8 years since he's had a turnover-free game.
It kind of makes sense though with his play again, just with sometimes sloppy passing, but also his explosion. Yeah, his explosion to the rim to where you get a guy to pick the ball out of his pocket. That's a turnover. Making a play to the basket, a guy who's got 6 to 8 inches on him, scoops the ball away from him, boom, turnover.
And he got lucky. Did you see that air ball that he had? That would have been a turnover that landed right in Dwight Howard's hands, and he just laid it in.
Oh no, I didn't.
Oh, dude, it would have been a turnover. He airballed it from like just inside the 3-point line, and Dwight Howard just grabbed it right before the other team could, and just laid it right in. So that would have been a turnover right there. Got bailed out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's gonna last. I'm sure next game or the game after he goes back. I don't know who they play, but I mean, you go 408 games with a turnover, you're not gonna go on a stretch without any. I feel like this is a short thing, but again, they're playing better basketball, which is the important thing. They've been teetering back and forth across that 500 mark. They get above it. I think in their next couple of games they play teams under 500, so they have a chance to kind of build a little bit of a streak here. But again, as we saw on, was it last night or Monday night, the Bucks losing to the Pistons, no matter who you play, nothing's guaranteed.
Like, going over to my first, do you think that LeBron needs to be in the MVP conversation at this point?
Yeah, I saw like a animation or a statistic of the MVP race, and it was like Giannis, Durant, Curry, Trae Young, and Jokic again, where it's like, and somebody's like, something's missing out of this list, and it's like, yeah, LeBron. So yeah, I think he definitely deserves to be in this conversation. Again, I mean, Jokic won it last year, so, and he's still putting up the same numbers. And you look at the Nuggets team to where you take him out again. They're without Jamal Murray. They lost Michael Porter Jr. to a back injury. They just lost Cam Carr, fractured his foot. They have a bunch of guys on COVID. I think they have 9 or 10 guys on the COVID or injury list right now. So you take Jokic off that team completely implodes. As for these other guys, I mean, they're all very important to their team as well. But again, LeBron, it's 31 points last night, took over the game late to secure the win. You take him off that Lakers team, they're definitely not 500 or above 500 or probably even close to it. They're probably one of the bottom teams in the West, honestly. Because he was balling out when they were winning. He was balling out when they were losing. So, like, again, he's trying to keep them afloat and, again, helping them get back on the streak of good games. But Yeah, I think he definitely deserves to be in the MVP conversation, just with, again, MVP, most valuable player to your team. And then aside from that, his stat line that he's putting up this year, too. And the minutes he's playing at his age. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know why he's not getting the looks and the respect of being in the conversation, because all these guys that are in the conversation have either won it before or are perennial nominees for MVP. So if they're saying, "Oh, LeBron's like he's always in the conversation," so are all these other guys. So what's your excuse to not have him in there? So, but yeah, it makes it. I mean, yeah, I guess long story short, put him in that MVP conversation because he definitely deserves it.
And I feel like, especially after watching him yesterday, with the energy and the force that he was playing with late in the game, after he slammed the dunk, got the and one, looked right at the Kings bench and said, "I am that motherfucker, bitch." Like right to their whole team. Like he was fired up, head nodding. Like I feel like because of, I don't know. It seems like this year, like you said, this Lakers team's getting no love. LeBron's getting no love. It's all, what a fucking idiot for getting Russ here. No, everybody knew you couldn't do it. I feel like he's one of those guys like Jordan, like Brady, like some of these greats who can just fuel their own fires by, oh, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy. All right, watch. I don't know. I just feel like we're poised to see LeBron do something that we've never seen before. Hence the numbers that he's putting up. But like you said, do I think this team can go on? I think this team can go as far as that man can carry them. Because
Yeah,
when he's playing like he plays, if he can get half of what AD's capable of and half of what all these Malik Monk's become his go-to guy, those two have basically just been shredding teams coming late in the games. This team is becoming fun to watch, and it's like LeBron gave up that driver's seat, and with AD out, I feel like he's basically figured out that he can't rely on anybody else to get it done besides himself. And he's, give me the fucking ball, let me go to the hole. Like I'm proud of him. Normally earlier in the year, we were seeing him step back, take a three, shoot these balls that he normally would just take to the fucking rack, dude. And now he's doing that over and over again. I feel like he's playing with a vengeance, and yeah, I would say he is the MVP right now.
and like you said too, AD eventually going to be coming back. Again, obviously the team is not better without him, though they look like they play better basketball at times. When they plug him back in, that's going to be taking the ball out of LeBron's hands just because, again, he's going to be getting more looks. How do they use him that's going to benefit the team without hindering LeBron's production? Because obviously they need it right now.
Well, LeBron is arguably the greatest passer ever to play the game. A lot of people, him and Magic, Dr. J, a lot of these guys on that pedestal of greatest playmaker, he'll get him open. I feel like if you can just get him the ball down low inside, don't make AD have to do all the. Granted, he's a way better shooter than Giannis, but I feel like when you put them in that position all the time of having to make the shot, he's fucking 7 foot, whatever the case. He's huge. Put him down inside, let him get the ball, dish it out. I don't know. I feel like him too is also going to be a huge deterrent on which direction this team goes, because I don't feel like it's sustainable for LeBron to keep playing this many minutes game in and game out the rest of the way. Like there's going to be a point where he's going to have to take, like against Trail, unless they smoke some teams where he can rest early, but he's got to play if their team has the chance.
Yeah, and he's now 4-0 when playing the center position too. So I feel like that's kind of taking less wear and tear off of him too, rather than running the point, taking the ball up the court. He can kind of get a breather, get down. But then again, playing center, you're in the paint, you're getting elbows, it's big man ball down there too. So
and 6'9", 260, he can handle it.
Yeah. So I wonder if moving forward, where they bring in,
we'll name a center that can fucking guard him. He's like a point guard playing center. Like He's way more athletic than a lot of these guys. Granted, he's given up the height difference in a lot of spots, but he's so much more athletic, faster. Just he knows how to play. Like his veteran way of how he knows how to move. It's like watching the guys who know how to score. They just know how to manipulate the game, get the calls, get to the spots that they need to get to. And the greats do it over and over again.
Yeah. Yeah, and like you said, there's not very many guys like Bam Adebayo, Nikola Jokic are only two guys like that have the size, have the wingspan to make it more difficult shots for him. But as far as the athleticism, like you said, he's far more athletic.
Right. They're not going to
older.
chase him out to the 3-point line.
No. Yeah, moving on here then. Kyrie Irving making his season debut for the Nets tonight against the Pacers. His over-under projection for the game is 19.5 points. Do you think he breaks 20 tonight, or do you think that he has a slow night trying to get back into the system?
I can see him scoring over 20 points. Depends how much he's going to play. I guess that's the big question mark to me. Obviously, being out of NBA basketball, playing against these freaks day in and day out, you ain't getting that same competition at the Y or at the whatever. So depends how game ready he is. Obviously, I feel like everybody's expecting. I don't think that they would have brought a guy back who isn't ready to play. He's not going to make a fool of himself. But yeah, I feel like it's also going to how many minutes he plays. I feel like will be deterrent on that. I feel like if he gets over 25 minutes, he should get 20 points.
Yeah. See, I think he comes up short again because of the reason of him playing in, what does he say, high school gyms, middle school gyms, playing pickup ball. Like, that's not NBA basketball. I feel like he's going to come out slow with the conditioning, a little sloppy. Like, all these, like, basically at the halfway point of the NBA season, all these guys are in perfect, like mid-season condition. No matter how conditioned he was keeping himself, working out on his own, you can't replicate an NBA court. I don't know. I think, I mean, obviously, I think it's going to be good for him to be back. They need him because, again, KD can't keep doing it by himself every night. But I think that he maybe like the 12 to 17 range for points tonight. Just because I think the condition, I think he's going to get gassed a couple times in this game and not log the minutes that he usually does.
How many minutes do you think he's going to play?
I agree with you where if he plays over that 25-minute mark, that he has a chance to break 20. I think he's going to be 18, 20, 22 minutes at most.
Yeah, see, I think that they're going to use him. This is their chance to get KD Harden some rest. So I feel like they're going to use him as much as like it almost would make sense to me because obviously I heard there was a point that was brought up by Nick Wright this morning. It's like the Nets obviously getting Kyrie back. Why don't they just keep losing and hold down the 5th seed? So that in the playoffs, they're going to have him for the road games, have him for game 7s. You're going to have him through game 7 the whole way through. Basically, if you are that road team. So it's like what I don't feel like they have any advantage to keep winning at this point. Like I could see them easily. Obviously, they're the number 2 seed, and I feel like they're not going to try to lose on purpose. But at the same time, I feel like now is their time. With Kyrie coming back, you rest Durant, you rest Harden, you rest some of these other guys, and you let Kyrie almost run the bench unit and let him run that whole thing and only need to put KD and Harden in when they want to, I guess. Just to, like I said, get them rest because you're only getting him for about 20-something games here at this point.
Yeah. And do you think, too, like you said, it makes sense for them to be a lower seed to have him for more road games, but they're not going to lose games on purpose. At the 2 seed right now, if they were to make it to, say, the Eastern Conference Finals and the Bulls aren't the team they play, they would have home field or home court advantage. Do you think we eventually maybe see, again, if they do make it to Eastern Conference Finals and have home court advantage, if Kyrie caves and gets the vaccine because he realizes, hey, I need to be here. I need to play these home games, because if you have home court advantage in the Eastern Conference Finals without Kyrie, they go down 0-2. That's a lot of pressure to, all right, we got Kyrie, but now we have to go on the road and win 1 or 2 to get back into the series. Do you think we eventually see him cave and get it?
I don't. Just because nothing's came out to say that it's been beneficial to get it. It's only protecting you against the first round of COVID that we've had. So if that's long gone, I don't know. Just with all the stuff coming out about side effects and potential, all this and that, I feel like if you've held out as far to this point, I feel like what's the point in caving now? Like, you already are getting to play half the games. You're already going to get to do this. The team's already willing to stick up and do this because you are that good of a player. I don't see any benefit for him going to do this now, because some people are going to be like, you fucking idiot. You should have just done it at the beginning. Blah, 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 blah. Why you wait? It's just like.
But at the same time, come Eastern Conference Finals or semis, if they lose out, because, again, he's not playing home games, do the Nets say, all right, fuck this, we're done, we're like, and they get rid of him? You know what I mean? So where if they're like, if we had this guy full time, maybe that would have been the difference. But he's hurting us more than he's helping us by not playing in these home games.
But how much is he hurting you if you're still the second seed, though?
Well, that's what I'm saying. If it comes to playoffs and you lose, because if you lose any of your home games, you can pinpoint it to Kyrie's not playing. This is his fault. Some people are going to say that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that is going to be the case. Just like for anybody out with an injury too, being like, oh, they lost because this guy is out. But I don't know. I feel like it's a unique situation.
Yeah. If it works out,
I feel like he's not going to back down.
Yeah. If it works out, again, it's one of the craziest, obviously, scenario situations you've ever seen in really professional sports, to have somebody play part-time, again, due to the COVID vaccine. But if it works out, again, very unique. If it doesn't, there's going to be a lot of fingers pointed at him, I feel, because of them not making it the distance. Move over to the NHL here then, since kind of our last two questions kind of correlated with each other. If you want to throw your first one at me.
So do you think Pittsburgh continues to roll at this point, currently having an 8-game winning streak? They will be without their number one goaltender tonight. Do you think their streak continues to roll as they face the hot Blues?
Ooh. Is the Blues what streak are they on? Or no, that was Nashville. Nashville is 8-1-1. Well, St. Louis is 7-1-2 in their last 10 too. Yeah, I mean, they're getting hot at the right time because, again, being in the Metro, they need to kind of catch up to the top. They're still 6 points behind, but 3 games in pocket from the top guys. Yeah, I think Pittsburgh's the hottest team right now. I think that they kind of make a statement tonight against the Blues. And kind of looking ahead at their schedule too. They have, again, the Blues, and then they kind of have, I would say, an easier stretch, but not quite like top-notch hockey with Flyers, Stars, Kings, Sharks, Senators, are all kind of their next 5 to 6 games. I mean, again, it's hockey. Any bad night, your streak ends. But yeah, if they get past the Blues tonight, I think they could get above 10 wins on this streak.
Yeah, I think their streak comes to the end tonight just because this Blues team, they're playing so well right now, and this Penguins team already being games back of having to have games postponed and whatnot. I feel like they're walking into a rude awakening tonight, and I think the Blues are going to hammer them.
Yeah, I mean, the Blues, again, are a team that, I mean, looking at the Central right now, 2 weeks ago, it was like, okay, Minnesota's kind of running away with it. Colorado's catching up. Again, Colorado is only 4 points back, but they have 5 games less played. So Colorado can really make a surge playing catch up here. Yeah, if you would have told me a month ago, oh, the top of the Central is going to be Nashville, St. Louis, Colorado, I would have been like, you're nuts, just with how Minnesota is playing. But again, Minnesota on a 5-game shitter. Anytime that you have a streak last more than 5, you're gonna have to go on a hell of a winning streak to kind of combat that and catch back up. But yeah, my first question here for you, another team kind of on a shit streak, the Oilers, Edmonton Oilers, loses a 4 straight, and now will be without Connor McDavid tonight after testing positive for COVID. They're also out one of their other centers. I can't think of his name, but both of them
Derek Ryan.
Derek Ryan. They both tested positive. How long do you think that this shit streak lasts, especially without their top, goal scorer, McDavid? Well, I shouldn't say goal scorer. He leads the league in points and assists. And especially with the Sharks, Kings, Canucks on their heels, do we see them fall to that 5th or 6th spot in that division?
I think they lose tonight, but then I think they bounce back. Toronto's a great team, but then they play the Senators, Blackhawks, 2 teams that they should be able to regain some momentum and go forward. But yeah, if this streak continues to last another five games, they're done. They've already had a couple bad streaks already early on the year, and now to have another one continue, they're at 4. If it gets to the 6, 7, 8 territory, they're in murky waters. But they do have 3 games in hand, which also helps them. And then the Flames, who sit above them with 2 less games played and 2 more points, them facing them a handful of times here in the Battle of Alberta coming here, you really have a chance to steal some momentum and keep yourself that 3rd spot. So I don't think they let it slip away, but it's going to be one more loss before they get back on the road. And then my second question for you here, what do you think of the current taxi squad strategy for this COVID year and last year? And do you think that there is a better option out there if they aren't going to use the taxi squad?
Yeah, I feel like it originally was a good concept just to, again, keep depth to these teams, give guys a chance to come up and show their worth. And I feel like with a taxi squad, what it came in the most value is avoiding a lot of these games from being postponed. Again, a lot of it comes with the mandates of Canada and just them not playing games because of their rules. But even for U.S. teams, there's been a lot of teams that are playing each other that are postponing games. So it's like, okay, what like that? To me, that's where I see the most value in this taxi squad is, again, to kind of keep depth so that games can keep getting played. So, again, I don't know really a better way to like avoid these postponed games and kind of revamp the taxi squad. But I'm just kind of sitting here scratching my head as to like where the value is if there's still games not being played.
Yeah, so the taxi squads were abolished earlier in the year and now have been put back into place as of December 26th. So that's why I feel like you're seeing games played now, is because they re-implemented this taxi squad. I feel like they could go to 10 players instead of 6, just with the amount of people. Like I look at my Flyers team, there's so many players that were playing yesterday that were AHL players that aren't NHL level right now that had to fill in just to play so that they can get the games played. I feel like that's kind of what this the rest of the season is going to be. I feel like the season in general, which teams have been the healthiest, which teams have had their players the most. Like, I feel like this is kind of another wonky year as far as who's the best team, who's not the best team, as far as so many people are missing all the time, all this different type of stuff. But every team's going through it. So once we get to playoff time, I feel like it'll be a little bit more regulated. But until then, it's just a free for all as far as, do you got the guys? Can you play?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes sense. Like you said, just with, I didn't know that they removed it and then now brought it back like a week ago. Yeah, it makes sense. Again, with basically the week and a half that they took off, even coming out of it, there's still games postponed. I mean, until like a week from now, there's still games like being postponed. Like next Monday, there's 2 games that are postponed. Next Wednesday has a game that's postponed. Like,
It's till the 16th, I want to say, or
I
13th
see
of January.
the 13th, that Thursday, there's no, but then Friday, the day after, postponed. Saturday, the 15th, postponed. So it's like, we're still a week and a half, 2 weeks out before it seems like we're going to get again. Well, would they be able to, if they postpone a game and like things are good, would, like, for instance, next Friday, the 14th, Golden Knights Oilers postponed. Could they reinstate that game? Like, you know what I mean? Or is it because it's postponed that they can't change it now?
I guess it all depends on probably how many people they have available, because the Oilers are the team that's having the breakout right now. So that's every team that they have to play is basically a postponed until they get enough guys back. So I don't know. I really don't know how that works. I know it's going to be really interesting. Like, I know they're not going to go back to do what they did last year in the missed games was back-to-back nights. I know that they're not doing that because of the strain that it had on the players from having to play back-to-back nights, basically 40 nights in a row. Like, that's insane for any professional sports team, basically, to have that done. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do here, since the taxi squad temporary thing only lasts to the All-Star break, which is about a month away. If COVID's still, this might be a thing for the rest of the year.
Mm-hmm. Which, like you're just saying about trying to avoid playing back-to-back nights, that kind of ties into my last question here. Again, with the game still being postponed just about every day, do you think there's a possibility we see a shortened season, or do you think that the NHL runs the chance of injuries and fatigue to players, because eventually they are going to have to play back-to-back nights, whether they like it or not, to make up some of these games?
Well, I know that's one of the main reasons why they are not letting people go over to the Olympics, is because they're going to be making up games during that week and a half break, 2-week break. So them canceling that's 2 weeks of games right there that they're going to be able to schedule that they previously weren't going to have. So I don't know. It might be a hectic little stretch, but I don't think it's going to last the entire second half of the season, which basically it was last year, of playing 29, 30 back-to-back games out of 40, where I don't think that's going to happen this year, just due to they went through the trial run of that and the health and the safety concerns. There's just no way that that's sustainable long-term. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. Like I said, it's going to be interesting to see what the NHL does as far as NHL players having access to being able to call up these guys without any penalties and sending them back down. How many guys they do have? What happens if your taxi squad's out with COVID too? Do you get a replacement taxi squad? Like, there's so many things right now that have question marks around it. And what is nice is that they don't make any bold decisions and they kind of just play touch and go, which is a nice thing, because they're constantly just trying to keep it moving on without halt.
And yeah, I forgot about that with them removing the eligibility for the Olympics. So in that 2-week period, they'll be able to make up 8-9 games, essentially.
Yeah, you'd think each team would probably be able to make up 5-6 games if need be in 2 weeks, playing every other day. That's 6 games. 7 games you get done playing every other day. But obviously your schedule going up to then, where are these teams located, travel, all that stuff too also plays a part of that. So like I said, it might be a hectic part of the year during that all-star break type of Olympic break part of the year that could be jamming. All right, we're going to suck it up now and we're going to do back-to-backs for a month. And then you're going to go back to normal for the last 2 months of the season. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Like I said, one more month and we're pretty much halfway through. And then I feel like the NHL is going to have some sort of plan going forward. I feel like they're just trying to get to the all-star break without any problems.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds good. Then on to my last question here. In the other category, if you could have Jake Paul step in the ring with anybody of your choosing, who would it be?
It'd have to be Nate Diaz, just because the dude, and that's one of the guys he's called out is Masvidal, Nate Diaz, Conor McGregor, Mike Tyson for some reason. But Nate Diaz has the biggest boxing background aside from Mike Tyson. But in the UFC, the guys I mentioned and the guys he wants to fight, Nate Diaz is just like ruthless to where he again has that boxing background to where he will go into a slugfest with a guy because he knows he can beat them. And I think that, Nate Diaz, again, he has to remove the grappling part of his boxing if that fight ever does happen. But that'd be a fight I feel like I'd like to see happen just because, again, he's a really raw dude, like good shit talker. So like the press conferences would be fun. Yeah, I think Nate Diaz would be the guy that I'd want to watch go into the ring with him.
Yeah, you said who mine, Mike Tyson. I'd love to see him just fucking knock his ass out.
Yeah, I'm starting to gain more. Like at first, I was annoyed with it, but now I'm starting to gain more and more respect for the guy just because he's putting in the work. Like again, how authentic these fights are and not tailored to his liking. We don't like some of it in the contract is like, okay, that's weird. Where like it kind of is in favor of Jake Paul, but also at the same time, he's the one funding it, throwing millions on the table. So if he wants to tweak it a little here and there to give himself a slight advantage, like, I don't know. Like,
well, that's what I mean. How authentic are any of these fights if he's the one that's paying, for the fights? Somebody paying to set up a fight against themselves. I don't think they're going to set that up to lose.
Yeah.
That's why hopefully he gets sanctioned, dude. Like, we won't. I appreciate what he's done for boxing. It's gotten a lot more eyes on boxing. But to me, this whole thing is just a joke until he actually fights somebody legit.
Yeah. And I think he has to next. For the guys he's taken out, I feel like he's getting more and more true boxers or like better UFC fighters that aren't retired or like years removed from fighting. Again, there hasn't been really any hints as to who he's going to fight next. I think Masvidal is the name that Jake Paul keeps throwing out there of who he wants to fight, but I haven't really heard anything from Masvidal's team as to where they're at with it. But again, they're under contract with the UFC, so they're gonna have to break their contract, or Dana's gonna have to sign off on something to allow them to do it. But
which he's not going to with one of the top fighters.
No, he's not. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see who he fights next. But yeah. Then my question for you, heading over to college hoops. After upsetting number 3 Purdue on Monday, the Badgers now sit 4th in the Big Ten with an 11-2 record. Preseason, we were kind of giving predictions of who we thought was going to be at the top of the Big Ten. I know Purdue, Illinois, Ohio State were kind of the names we were throwing around. Do you think Wisconsin, now making some noise with only 2 losses on their record, has a shot to take the Big Ten.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that they don't have a chance just because they do, but are they the top team in the Big Ten?
Who?
Wisconsin.
No, I said they're fourth.
Are these teams undefeated that are ahead of us?
No, nobody's undefeated in the Big Ten. Illinois 10-3, Ohio State 9-2, Michigan State 12-2.
Yeah, I mean, when do we play a legit team? Next Thursday, Ohio State, followed by the following week at Michigan State. If we can win those games, I feel like they always play better on the road. So,
well, they host
yeah,
Michigan State and Ohio State, so they're out
yeah, I
for both
know,
of those.
And they're better on the road. They
But
already
eventually
got,
they
they already
will
got
play.
whooped by Ohio State 73-55 earlier in the year.
But they will play them again. Yeah, Michigan State, February 8th, they travel to Michigan State.
Yeah, I don't see us winning the Big Ten. I see second or third spot.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have guessed that they'd be doing this well, like at this point of the season. Again, they're which I don't get that. They're ranked, what were they ranked?
23rd.
Yeah, they were ranked 23rd, and then they beat Purdue, and now they're still 23rd. So I don't know if it's kind of like college football where they come out with the rankings once a week. So next week we'll see an updated ranking. But yeah, I mean, I feel like they should be close to like 10, in a 10 to 15 range after beating number 3. But yeah, they have 2 games coming up, Iowa and Maryland, which I would assume that they would be favored in because, well, Iowa is 11-3, but also it's at Wisconsin, but Maryland is only 8-5. So, but yeah, Ohio State and Michigan State next week. Well, next week and then the following week are going to be 2 good tests. But I mean, winning the Big Ten, yeah, it's cool and all, but it all matters when it comes to the big dance at the end. So, but so long as they keep trending up, I think that they're putting themselves in a good spot at least.
Winning the Big Ten's a good chance of being a number 1 seed in the bracket.
Yeah. Sounds good then. Wrapping up here then for our last kind of hurrah. Well, I should say last because we saw the national championship next Monday. But again, the coin flip with 1 game left or 2 games. Yeah, 1 game left. The last official bowl game was last night in the Texas Bowl, which Kansas State took it to LSU, which is a W, meaning that the coin is now 15-16, with a chance to break even in the Natty, and it picked Georgia. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see again a coin flip. At first it was because I have it written. The coin was 4-10 at one point, 3-8 at one point. So it's like, oh, the coin, like this is not going to do it, but it evens out again. How they say when you flip a coin 100 times, you should get 50-50 or 49-51 both ways. And it's kind of coming out that way in the end here. So we'll see how it does. And yeah, we will kind of, I guess, give our final thoughts on the national championship on Friday. But yeah, that's a wrap on this year's bowl season. Was that 31 games played, and there was 42 originally, so 9 of them got canceled. Yeah, I mean, a handful of good games, but otherwise some of them again touch and go with a lot of guys out. So we'll kind of see next year if they decide to expand it, and hopefully some of these games mean something.
Yeah, we shall see. That should be something interesting to keep an eye on here. But yeah, we want to thank everybody for stopping by on this wonderful Wednesday. We'll see you guys on Friday for a jam-packed episode with some previews over the weekend games.